we teach our feelings to be able to step into that place where you've let go of all your stress. Bigger than that, you could even get to a point where you've trained your way of relating to life in a way that's not stressful, that's peaceful, that's easeful. Whatever comes at you, you respond with ease. Hello Merck, thanks for the comment. I'm glad I was able to fix that up. Everyone out on the live stream, just imagine that I was saying amazing things up until now. Glad to have you here. Alright, so I was just saying that tonight's focus is going to be going deeper into immersion in meditation, deeper into stillness. Some of the benefits of that. One of the nice benefits of spending time in stillness in meditation is you learn to notice what's going on in your head. You learn to notice when a feeling is arising or when something's catching your attention, whether it's words or ideas. And because we're trying to be in stillness, you learn how to let go of those things that have caught your attention and reshift your focus. So being able to choose your focus throughout your day, that's a superpower. And being able to let go of feelings or thoughts that have caught you, that's also a superpower. I could talk a lot about all the ways that choosing your focus or letting go of things can be helpful. But I'll let you just imagine what that could be like. So I think what we're going to do is just dive straight into some experiential meditation. And we'll take it from there. If you're brand new, I'm going to guide. We're going to try a slightly different technique than the one that I normally focus on. Just to start, we're going to try a counting technique. And then we'll also try the one that we normally do. And maybe also explore or discuss some other techniques. So, in context, the normal technique that I encourage is that we focus on our breath. We try to feel the breath and hear the breath. And that's all we're doing. Sounds simple, but actually it's pretty amazing that when you're just doing that, you get to see your own consciousness. You get to see when your attention's here, and then, if you started thinking about something else, you also get to see that. And then you get to watch what it's like to refocus again. And when you first start, you might be like, oh yeah, I'm breathing. Oh, whoa, I was just thinking about something for a few minutes. Okay, I'll come back to my breathing. But the more you do it, the more closely you get to see your awareness. Like you get to watch, am I more focused on the feeling? Am I more focused on the sound? Oh, look, a thought. Okay, I'll come back to my breath. And then when you've been doing it even more, you're seeing every little moment. It's like, I can feel a thought being put together in my mind. Okay, but I want to just stay in the stillness. And the power or the presence that I'm feeling each moment of the breath just becomes bigger, more soothing, more amazing. So that's our general practice. Hearing and feeling the breath. And just doing that. But that's an amazing dance with your own consciousness, learning to be more present. And we're going to do a similar technique today, but it's a slight variation. Many people find that while trying to hear and feel the breath, their inner thoughts, their inner dialogue is a pretty big deal in terms of the brain doing other stuff. They're thinking other words. And so today's technique is extra good for calming that inner dialogue. And if you don't know what I mean, many people, when they're thinking, they'll be talking to themselves. Like, oh, what's going on now? Or what did he say there? Like, they're just thinking in words. If you don't think in words, that's fine. This technique may also be helpful for you to dive into the focus. But this technique is extra good for calming that inner dialogue. So what we're going to do is we're going to be feeling the breath and focusing on the breath, but we're also going to be counting so that your inner voice is forced to be counting the numbers. If English isn't your native language, feel free to swap the numbers over to whichever number you want. But the way we're going to do it is we're going to start with shorter breaths. So at the start of your breath, you'll be 1, 2, 3, and that's filled up. And then as you breathe out, 3, 2, 1. So we'll take many breaths where you just 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. And the idea is you're just focusing on that. It's like you're giving all your thoughts a vacation. Just the numbers. It's all I'm doing. And if your mind's like, oh, I could go play some video game. Well, hang on. I'm just going to give everything a chance to have a break for a little while. Back to just breathing. Just a chance to feel stillness and peace. And whatever comes up, you just try to come back to the counting. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. And we'll do threes for a while. And then we'll shift it into deeper breaths. So we'll count up to 6. So it will be deeper breaths. So 6 in and then 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 out. And then we'll switch it to 10. And there are more advanced stages of this counting meditation or using these different lengths breaths. But for today, we're just going to do those 3 steps. Just as a point of focus, a chance to calm the mind and quieten the inner voice. So I think it's time to dive into the practice, unless anyone has any questions. If you're brand new, I'm going to be guiding the meditation. So if you're not sure exactly what's going on, that's okay. Just try to follow along as I guide it. And in the times of silence, just enjoy whatever seems to be the right thing for you from what I've been saying. But yeah, any questions or comments before we begin? Senpai, is that a hand? Maybe you could lift yourself up a little. I think you've lowered yourself. There we go. Excellent. Yes, please.
Normally my head is in so many thoughts that even if I do what you say that I'm gonna do, there's still gonna be a lot of interference. How do I deal with that?
Great question. The first thing I'd like you to do is, if you're imagining your head's going to be full of stuff, then some systems in your brain are kind of visualizing that and generating that. So I hope that some part of you could also imagine what it would be like for your mind to become still. Set that intention. Imagine what that would feel like. Imagine what your inner world would sound like and feel like if you were just counting. So that's one part of it. Okay. And the other part is the practice. You imagine if we were going to be doing some acrobatics and I said, all right, I want everyone to stand on one foot. Some people will be able to do it. Some people will be wobbling like wild. And if someone asks exactly the same question, hey, what do I do if I'm wobbling like wild? I would say, well, try to find that feeling of being centered and balanced. Stay in it for as long as you can. And if you start to wobble, come back into being centered as fast as you can. You're just practicing being more centered. And if you notice the wobbles, don't focus on the wobbles and go more into them. Instead, you notice a wobble, you just try to recenter. Trying to recenter. I'm training myself to be in that center. And if the wobbles happen or if the thoughts happen, that's fine. As soon as you notice them, try to feel the breath more, count the breath more clearly. Some people like to think of it as it takes time for the mind to settle. So I've heard a metaphor. If the mind was like a lake that had been really stirred up and the dust's everywhere and there's eddy currents everywhere, when you stop stirring, like you're meditating, so you stopped engaging with the thoughts, it's still going to stir for a while. And some of the thoughts might catch you and you might like go and play with them again and you stirred that bit up. But you stop again as fast as you can, and it just takes time to settle. So you're just focusing on the breath so as to not engage with any of the other stuff. Now, I want to say that I'm not totally a fan of that idea of the lake taking time to settle. If I go back to my original point of imagine if your mind was still, if you imagine the lake had perfectly settled, what that would feel like. If you try to make each moment of the breath also have that intention, stillness, focus, hear the breath, feel the breath. If you're carrying that idea or that feeling with you while you do it, it will be very helpful. And this is a practice. We're trying to learn how to guide our attention into that. So very few people just instantly get into perfect immersion. So that's completely okay. Whatever your mind is doing is awesome. This is time for you to be learning how to guide the mind and also learning how to just observe your consciousness. Especially if you're observing and finding the ways that you find more stillness. So you're having some thoughts and then you're like, oh, if I say the numbers stronger, that catches me. Maybe that catches you. Or maybe you're like, oh, when I really feel the breath coming in, that catches me. Like it's you learning how your consciousness works. It's you learning how you can guide your attention better. And there are millions of little subtleties in how you can do that. So that's a big part of the practice. You're learning how to be conscious. Awesome question. I hope that there was some helpful approaches in there for you and for everybody. Has anyone else got any other question before we begin, or shall we dive right in? All right. So, quick recap, especially for those of you who just joined. We're going to do a concentrated breathing meditation with a counting technique. I'll explain the counting technique when we get in there. All right. So, for those of you who are new to meditation, I like to set a nice posture. So if you're sitting on a seat, get your feet flat on the ground. Wiggle your butt back and forward until your legs feel like they're nice and stable. I have to move my arm things out of the way and wiggle my butt around a little bit so it feels centered. Then I feel my spine and I'm sitting up straight, and that makes me move my core muscles around back and forward. Just find a posture that feels really good. It's like my balance is really nice. Like I could just forget about my body and it would just be sitting there in perfect posture, perfect presence. Okay, and then as I say that, I notice my upper spine and my shoulders. Okay, I'm going to roll my shoulders back a little bit and then adjust my hands. And if your eyes are still open, I invite you just to gently let them close. We're going into our own minds, like everything else could disappear. So then you can check in with your neck, and the muscles around your neck, and your head. And then just one last sweep of the body. Is there anything else that you could adjust a little or just give it the permission to relax? And then feeling your whole body, will take one deep breath in, letting the body be still, letting that idea, hey, I could just forget about my body now, and just let it be at peace. And then I want you to bring your attention into your nose and feel the breath coming in. Okay, you can feel where the breath's flowing. Take a few of those and try to feel where you notice the breath the most. So that's the point, the position where we want to keep our attention. And so now as we begin the concentration meditation, the depth of each breath, we'll just do it together for now. So we're going to start our in-breath and we're going to say 1, 2, 3. Hold. And then breathe out. 3, 2, 1. Hold. In. 1, 2, 3. Hold. And roughly that speed and that depth, you're just going to keep breathing. Make your inner voice just really say the numbers. Feeling the breath, counting the in-breath. And if you notice the speed of the breath kind of goes in steps, like 1, 2, 3. Try and make the breath flow smoothly, but still just counting. And if the only words you're hearing is the numbers, that's great. And if you notice you're thinking other thoughts, just try to imagine your mind is just the sound of the numbers. So, saying that with, maybe make them really loud, or maybe make them feel big. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. And at the same time as counting the breath and feeling the breath, you're also observing your consciousness. And then we'll shift gears and we'll go into deeper breaths. So let's all finish your out breath and hold. And we'll count into 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. Out. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. Out. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you can just continue to breathe. All your attention is in the counting and the feeling. you might notice your attention doing other stuff, and try to just bring that part of you into counting in the breath. See if you can do it by the end of the sentence or in the middle of the word. What would it be like to just let go of that other thing and make all of yourself in the breath, feeling, hearing, counting the breath? You could imagine us all breathing together in sync, all concentrating together, feeling the rise and fall of the breath, letting our minds go deeper and deeper into peace. So whichever breath you're on now, breathe out. When you finish the out breath, just hold. And then all together in on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. Feel all of us breathing out on 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out. Count at your own time. And you might notice every few breaths, you feel more immersed in the breath. You're able to be just in the count, just in the feeling of the breath. And wherever you're up to with this breath, empty that breath and hold. And then we'll all move into the count of 10. Breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold. So good to let go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If that's deeper than you can breathe, that's okay. Try to count the 10 for your maximum breath. Just really feeling each moment of the breath and letting your whole auditory mind just be hearing the count all the way in and all the way out. you can create how immersed you are in the counting. So each moment you notice what you're doing, shape yourself back more fully into the count, more completely into the breath. And then we'll come back to counting for 6 breaths, count of 6 for each breath. You can notice how it feels different and how the attention feels different. And then we'll go to a count of 3. And then back up to a count of 10. And then back to a count of 3. And then we'll put all the counting aside for a little while, and you'll just enjoy some peaceful moments, just feeling and hearing your breath. Make each breath feel more peaceful. The way the breath flows feels more easeful. The sound of the breath becomes more calm. And as we approach the end of the meditation, I just invite you to reflect. How does your consciousness feel right now? Perhaps you feel like the lake has settled, or it's just calmer than it was. Maybe your presence feels bigger or stiller or more powerful. Some people in the stillness find a feeling of joy or compassion or gratitude. And as we keep reflecting, maybe you can notice what your experience was like. Did you learn ways to hold your attention in the count? Or did you notice things that your consciousness was doing? And you can imagine that acrobat that was learning how to balance. They may or may not notice that straight away they're more balanced in their whole life. But certainly by doing that practice, they're on their way to being much more balanced. And just knowing that, we'll take a few more breaths and you'll feel yourself more aware, a deeper inner peace. A greater sense of noticing your attention. More ease with letting go of things, letting go of stuff that's caught your attention, letting go of feelings that don't serve you. It's more of a feeling of just being able to let go and come back into your center, your chosen mind state, your feeling of presence, of calm, of agency, of empowerment, of peace, of strength. Some of you may have got to that place where they feel like they let go of all their stresses. Maybe you're already a person without stress. And then we can all just imagine moving through our life with a core feeling that we would choose. Would you choose to move through life with peace, with ease? Like no matter what's going on, what kind of feeling do you want to bring to life? What kind of feeling do you want to give to yourself? And we'll have just a little bit of a regular single-pointed meditation. So I invite you to bring your attention back into just the breath. You're going to feel the breath and hear the breath. And just be aware of your consciousness in each moment. Make each breath feel how you choose to feel. Every moment of your life, you just have your awareness. So you're just being present with your breath and your awareness. So I'm going to give everyone a minute. Maybe you're already ready to shift out of meditation. And if so, I invite you to just keep practicing awareness. Notice each moment. Notice where you put your attention. Notice what you're thinking. And if you're still deep in peace, if you're still immersed in each moment of the breath, just have that idea that over the next 30 seconds, you're going to bring yourself back into the temple. You're going to carry that presence and that stillness with you from your meditative mind into your conscious mind. And one thing we often like to do here is, after the meditation, give people a chance to share. And first we'll share anything nice. If you felt good, I encourage you, just share, describe how you felt. It could just be one word like peace. Or maybe you could tell us a little story or a few words. Maybe you had some really interesting insight, or you saw improving, guiding yourself some way. So we're going to start with positive sharing, and while we're still in this meditative state, we get to feel and soak up the positiveness that each other has experienced or shared. Then after that, we could move on to questions or other things. So yeah, if you had a nice feeling, please, I encourage you to want to share it. Especially if you had something amazing happen, if you had some wild feeling or something else bigger, I encourage you to share it. Give that as a gift to yourself and to everybody. So I'll just be quiet for a little bit, and as soon as you feel like sharing, please, I'd love to hear how it was for you. Camelot? Okay, Hello Merc has said they felt an unwinding, a loosening of a knot. It still has more work to be done, but the loosening has happened and it's still so much nicer. Beautiful. Thanks so much for sharing. Maybe some of you can relate to that feeling of some knot that just seems like it's letting go. Camelot?
I find it a little.
Oh, I think you just muted after your first word.
Hello?
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 Hey, you're back. Yes, please.
I just find it a little bit don't while breathing.
The audio's cutting in and out. I want to come back to you after
Sorry.
some other people have shared. Maybe you can try and fix it up. Ash?
As someone with really bad ADHD, this was the first time in quite a while that I've been able to center my focus on one thing.
So happy to have shared that experience together. I hope you continue to join us for these experiences. And I hope you can also remember what that felt like. And just keep carrying that with you. Hey mind, this is something we can do. This is something I can do. Yeah, I know what that feels like. Thank you for sharing. Amazer, I see your hands up like this. Did something amazing happen to you? Would you like to share? I think your mic is muted. Well, if you figure that out, we'd love to hear from you. Would anyone else like to share?
I have a question, if you can hear me.
Let's hold the question for another minute or two. Sometimes people take a bit of time to work up to sharing. If you had something nice happen or a nice feeling, I'm really holding this space for you to share it. If you want to type it, that's good too. Venga, how was this meditation for you?
Came in late, unfortunately. It was fantastic.
Actually, we just started as you walked in the temple.
Oh, nice.
All right, Ed, you had a question you wanted to ask?
So the focus was on our consciousness, and I felt my consciousness slipping into a point of near sleep, sadly. Is there a way to avoid that from happening?
It's a great question. There's many answers. Some people would suggest that you are shaping how each breath feels. So, if you were making relaxing breaths, like I suggested, if it starts to feel too relaxing, you just shift the focus. You make them feel like energizing focus. What would it be like to be more awake? What would it be like for my mind to be full of energy, stillness? For example. Some people might suggest that you... Oh, Camelot, could you mute? We've got a lot of feedback. Thanks. Some people might suggest that you would stand and just do standing meditation. Others might suggest that if you notice that it's feeling too sleepy, that you put the just breathing meditation aside for a little while and do some compassion meditation. Imagine beams of love from you to all the people you care about. Or do some confidence meditation, just feeling powerful and strong. And do something that's definitely cultivating goodness, that's also engaging and uplifting. And then come back to the breath. If I was to share my experience of that, is I noticed there was a while, like a chapter of my life, where when I went to do breathing meditation, it felt sleepy. And so I was just like, hey, I don't want to have any association in my mind between being conscious and sleepiness. So I just really set the intention that, hey, I am going to create the focusing on my breath is an amazing experience. Every little moment of the breath is wow. Even though all I'm doing is just breathing, maybe I'm just feeling this little eddy current of the breath rolling around this little hair here. Maybe I'm noticing, well, there was a thought and I let go of it. I just want to really engage with my consciousness. Wow, I love watching my mind and crafting each moment. And I just made that my focus for a month or so until I'd re-steered my meditation back into being a high energy, beautiful thing. I also recommend as another practice that people do guided deep relaxation. But it's important to keep that as two separate things, like a relaxation meditation where you actually go into a dreamy trance or off to sleep. It's a beautiful thing. I wish everybody had that tool and could go into deep relaxation beautifully and quickly. But keep that separate in your mind. Breathing meditation. I know we did a body relaxation to let go of stuff, but then we step into breathing. And I talk about making each moment peaceful. I don't want you to be walking around asleep in your life. I want you to be walking around with this strong feeling of peace. Whatever comes your way, you are powerful and you can handle it all. So I know it's words. I talk about being calm and at peace, and that could sound sleepy, but that's not the connotations of the words that I meant. So if it felt too sleepy, sorry, I'll try to make them be calm and present. And I encourage you to do the same thing. Craft the way that you guide your meditation, craft the way that you guide your attention to be the kind of practice that you want to have in your waking consciousness.
That's great, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the great question. Would anyone else like to share or ask something? I'd love it if anyone who hasn't shared something yet, even if it's just one word, I'd love to hear you just say, I felt good, or whatever it was for you. Camelot, do you think you've... Oh, Inazumu?
Yeah, I relate to what was said about the sleepiness, because I actually felt like super close to sleep this time. Was very different from last week meditation, but since you were speaking, I was able to somehow like keep my consciousness awake. And every time I was feeling like I was about to go to sleep, I was like, hey, no, I'm here.
Hey.
But I still realize that it's a bit tricky, it's like you feel tempted to just fall asleep. But I guess it just takes some practice.
Practice, and like I said to Ed, maybe stand up, or also spend a moment to envisage what kind of meditation do you want to do? Like, what would it be like to be still and peaceful and powerful and energized? And if you imagine what that would be like, you'll bring that feeling into each breath. And yeah, practice that.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing. Oh, and how would you like us to pronounce your name?
It's okay. I mean, it's supposed to be Inazuma Edo.
Inazuma.
So some people call me Ido, but it's Edo, it's fine.
Edo. Inazuma Edo.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. All right, Camelot, do you think we've got your audio working a little better?
Is it better?
That sounds so much clearer. Yes.
Okay. That's fine. I just had some difficulties to focus my consciousness on something with, like, for me it was more easier just on counting, focus.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
So yeah, if the counting really works for you, wonderful. The person who first introduced me to this technique, he had us do the 3 and the 6 and the 10. We did that for just a few weeks. And then he got us to do the same depth of breath. We learned what was a 3 breath and a 6 breath and a 10 breath. And then we'd do the same thing, but without the words. So we learned to calm our voice, but then our attention was still on feeling. Oh, this technique, we actually felt the breath, the body filling up. So after we stopped the words, we would then just be feeling a 3 breath, and then feeling a 6, and feeling a 10. And then after doing that for a couple of weeks, we then let go of the body, and we were just doing the breathing for a 3 breath or a 6 breath and a 10 breath. And then the 4th stage is we even let go of the attention on the time, and we were just breathing. So we had learned to quiet the audio mind, so no more thinking words. Then we learned to relax the physical mind, so we were just present on the breath. And we had become completely immersed in the stillness. So that was where this few-month journey of this process took us. So yeah, if the counting's working great for you, I encourage you to keep doing it. And once you feel like you've completely learned the depth and you're feeling the 3 breath and the 6 breath and 10 breath, maybe try to let go of the words and let your thinking mind be completely still. Now, often the meditations we do here, I say, just hear the breath and just feel the breath. This counting practice was not a normal practice. So that's how I learned originally. The sound of the breath is where I put my whole mind. And I love that because it's going straight to letting the thinking mind be still. But one of the reasons I love this counting method is because it can work so well for some people as a way to learn how to do it. I'd hope with just the breathing, in a few days you'll have, or a few times of practicing, you'll have moments where you're just breathing and the voice has become calm. The voice might come back, but you go back into the calmness. I'd hope that you just have more and more of that. If you're having struggles with that, then this counting technique can be great to just let the inner voice to have a much longer break. But I'd hope the end goal for everybody will to be get to that point where you can focus on the breath with no inner voice, letting the mind be still, and just watching every little nuance of what your attention's doing, and just an ever more expansive stillness and presence and power. And being super aware of wherever your attention goes and whatever your consciousness is doing. And counting, talking, that's pretty big in terms of mental activity. A word has so many parts to it, whereas we want to get to a point where we are able to see every tiny little bit, a part of a thought, a part of a word, my attention moving here or there. And to be able to get to that fine-grained awareness, eventually we have to get to the point where the words have stopped. And we're just watching every little tiny nuance. Alright, Zara Rins just jumped in on the chat. Hi Neojex, thanks you for the sessions. Wish everyone a good week. Their cat has been gone for 2 days. And they pray they return safely soon. Oh, well, I hope your cat's okay, and I hope that you are choosing the kinds of feelings and thoughts that help you be okay, or maybe help you act. Maybe you need to put up some signs, or maybe remember the kind of places the cat might go and what you could do to help find them. If anybody sees Zara anytime, maybe remember to give them some love, some encouragement and some care and support. I know you've been a regular here, and I hope you know how much I care for you and hope you're doing well right now. And thanks for sharing. For those of you who are new to meditation, one wonderful thing meditation can do is in times of confusion or like someone's gone away, or you're not sure what's going on in times of change. Being able to step back into this peace, it just helps you be able to deal with whatever's going on. You stepping into your calm, from now until your cat returns, or from now until whatever's going on in your life resolves. You've got from now until then. You got to get through that time. I hope you move through that time with the greatest peace and presence, love, celebration, gratitude, joy, care, compassion, whatever it is you would choose to have in that time. That's what I wish for you. For you, Zara, and for all of you, whatever you're going through. If you come home and the dishwasher's not unloaded, I hope you choose to respond with joy. If you have somebody say something not nice to you, I hope you choose to respond with compassion. If you have some big change or upset in your life, I hope you choose to respond with strength. And meditation, learning to watch your mind and let go of reactions, stepping into that freedom, it gives you that space to choose. So Zara, I really hope you choose peace and presence and whatever will help you find your cat or be at peace during the journey. Thanks for sharing. Would anyone else like to share or ask a question? Oh, Zara, and I hope you saw Hello Merc sends you a big hug on the chat. Yeah, and I have to say something about community. Earlier today, Ed asked for us to do a meditation. And so I did an extra breathing meditation. So thanks, Ed. That was great. And I was just inspired to do the counting technique. And then that inspired us to share that for tonight's session. And here, Hello Merc and Zara, they've been attending for quite a while. And I know that big hug. It's not just a stranger sending a hug to someone, a stranger they care about. We've shared time together. And we've shared thoughts and care. And so I just want to say I really love that feeling of community. Some of you I hadn't seen for a while. So happy to have you back. And I hope that you also feel not just here is a community of support, but in your life that you can be that support and encouragement for others. And yes, I'd love you to come here as much as possible, that we have a community that helps each other be better meditators and happier and kinder and more caring, and we support each other. So yeah, I hope here and in other parts of your life you appreciate those who really help you, and that you also be that kind of person who brings peace or wisdom or helpful perspectives, that you be that kind of person to help others. So, my plan for the rest of this session is, if something lively or some deeper question if you have, or a topic, we'll do that, and then we'll have our closing meditation. Or if no one has anything they'd like to ask or share, perhaps we'll move to our closing meditation soon. So, the goal of these sessions is to be really helpful for you. You know, we talked about meditating and finding this peace. And ultimately, I'd like you to move through life always having this sense of inner strength, unshakable peace, that you're the master of your mind. You choose what thoughts and feelings you have in every moment. And if that sounds like some far off goal, I'm going to keep saying it until it feels like something you're actually practicing each day. I'm very serious about it. If you envisage yourself as feeling peaceful and strong, and you choosing the ways you want to respond to each moment, you'll get better and better at that. So maybe that's a springboard for questions. If you imagine yourself as an empowered being of goodness and wisdom and strength, what question does that prompt for you? If you imagine that and you're like, yeah, 100%, I'm that already. Great. But if you imagine that, maybe there's some questions you have, or some blocks that you see in the way, please ask. Let's talk about it. Let's make you awesome. So everybody's welcome here. So if you're outside the temple and you'd like to come in, please come in. We're just having a discussion about how choosing our thoughts and practicing how we want to be, how that can be so beneficial to any or every part of our life. Alright, one of you's got to be thinking about something now. Somebody jump in. Some question, something, whatever's on your mind. Go for it, Ed.
Sure.
Did you mute your microphone?
Whoops. Yeah, maybe I did. Is it okay if I do a poem?
Oh, yes. So everybody, Ed's going to share a poem. Before you start, Ed, let's all take a deep breath. And Ed,
All right.
Ed, I encourage you to read just a little bit slower, with a little bit more of a pause between each line, just to let it sink in, let us contemplate it.
Sounds great. The leaf tip bends under the weight of dew. Fruits are ripening in earth's early morning. Daffodils light up in the sun. The curtain of clouds at the gateway of the garden path begin to shift. Have pity for childhood, the way of illusion. And that is it. I can do some more if you want.
I know there's a lot in there. Thanks for sharing. What inspired you to share that poem with us? Did you mute your microphone again?
Yes, I did. So I was talking about how it's disappearance, and how when I am in a state of meditation, it's about emptying myself to find something else, like inner peace. And this really made me think, like, it appealed to me.
Nice, thanks. There was two main things that
Yeah.
stood out to me as I was listening to that poem. So one was just this idea of the garden and the fruit and the growing. I really like to think of our minds as a garden, that each time you take on a new idea, it's like you've planted a seed. So I might talk about perfect, unshakable peace. And for some of you, your garden's ready. There's perfect, unshakable peace. But for a lot of us, that's really just a seed. And if you're ready and you listen and you imagine it, it's like that seed got planted. And if sometime this week you also think about perfect, unshakable peace, that seed will grow. And if you keep growing it, after a little while, you'll have this part of your garden that is perfect, unshakable peace. It might be just a little sapling, but if you keep growing it, it could become this big, shady tree. So perfect, unshakable peace has really taken over a large part of how you are. And possibly that tree may also make fruit. You may find that being in perfect, unshakable peace, you then find, oh, I can create infinite happiness and laughter. Boom, there's some fruit, a new seed for you to plant. Or maybe it just gives you other ideas about peace, about patience, about accepting others, about understanding others. And so this idea that any positive idea is like a seed that we can plant and nurture in our garden, I think is really wonderful. It also is insightful that the things that are already in the garden, they make more of those seeds. So if you've planted some peace, you're going to get more thoughts about peace, and your garden will continue. And if you've got some weeds and they're making little thorny seeds, those seeds will spread around, and then you've got more of whatever those unhelpful thoughts or habits are. And one of the wonderful things about meditation, or watching closely what you're doing with your awareness, is when you start to see that you're like getting caught up in the weed, instead of flinging the seeds everywhere, getting more angry or saying, oh, I'm so bad at this, or blah, blah, whatever, instead of engaging with that or stirring that up more, be like, oh, here's a weed. Okay, let me be careful to contain all the seeds. And okay, I'm going to let it go, pull it out, and then let it go. So we get to watch the garden of our mind and be careful which seeds we plant and which seeds that we cultivate more of, and also which things are already there, how to like cut them off. How do you pull that seed out, that weed out? How do you let it go? And as you're looking really closely, when I first started gardening, I'd go in the garden and I'd just rip up the weeds, but all the stems were still there and all the roots were still there. And then as I sat with a really good gardener and I saw them like follow the weed down under the soil and rip out all the roots, and then the weed was gone. And I saw them be able to go through one garden patch and actually clear away all the weeds. It was a completely different experience to what I was doing, just ripping them and then leaving them to grow some more. So, treating our mind like a garden and carefully and beautifully cultivating it to what we choose is a wonderful approach to ourselves. And knowing that you can actually choose everything you want in the garden, if you're careful, is a beautiful and empowering way to be. So thanks for sharing, Ed. One other thing you said in the poem right at the end, you were talking about the childishness, and that just reminds me of there's so many things we're attached to, or we get caught up in, or we have attitudes that just really don't help us. And once we know that we can let go of things or change ourselves, we really can grow up or wake up. And to be able to see when ourselves or other people are caught up in unhelpful mind states, and to be compassionate towards that, and to try and find creativity or wisdom or playfulness to try and help them wake up. It's quite a gift we can give ourselves and to give others. Ori and Pax was trying to share the link to something, and they said no link.
That was me. I was trying to get the link in there.
Okay, cool. All right. I'll try to remember that's you. Excellent. Thanks, Ed. All right. It's almost time for our closing meditation. Does anyone have any last thoughts or comments or questions or just something you want to share? If you're out there on the stream, someone's typing. I'm just waiting to see what they typed. Marlies just wrote on the stream that they just wrote a poem. Thank you for the inspiration. Marlies, if you want to put the poem in the chat, I'd love to read it to everybody here. Alright, when we mentioned being the master of our minds, I had a thought about how I can calm myself on certain stressful events. Great. I hope you also felt what it would be like to calm yourself on those certain events. Marlies, I think you should share it. It doesn't matter how small it is. So Yukai wrote that they had this thought about calming themselves in certain events. I just want to say that's great. Meditation can give us this general peace, or just general calm. But it can be super powerful to be like, oh, when that thing happens, when I'm in this event, this is how I can respond. That is, I've found, very powerful and effective. So mainly, Yukai writes, I like to create my own little world as I close my eyes, just moving out of myself from the stress. Yeah, I hope everyone, as soon as we step into meditation, we step into perfect peace and perfect calm. And the way you describe it, having a little world that you can step into, that sounds wonderful. And I hope that world expands until that is just how you are as you move through life. Were you going to type one more thing? Alright, so Marlies wrote her poem in the chat. Is everybody ready? It's pretty enlightening. Okay, it goes. Alright, thank you for sharing, Marlies. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Okay. Marlies, was that the poem or was I just being funny? Alright, well, I think I'm going to start getting ready for our closing meditation. So, what do people think? We've talked a lot about breathing meditation, counting meditation, attention. Would we like to have some more of that? Or perhaps you're in the mood for something totally different. Maybe you want a kindness meditation or a happiness meditation or a guided journey into a lake of peace or a mountain of confidence. Oh, Marlies just said she's going to come into VR and share the poem with us in person. Wonderful. So we'll start our meditation after she's come in with the poem. Yukai, you making a request for what meditation we might do? Visualization meditation. Alright, I'll guide a visualization. And if you have any theme or goal or place you want us to go, let me know. And Amaze's going to share their poem with us.
I felt like maybe the anticipation is too big already. It's really tiny. Sorry, it took me a while to get in here. Okay.
Sometimes I've found when I am imagining something might be important or impactful or beautiful, even when it's a really small experience, I'm able to make it special for myself.
But it is actually really special for myself. I haven't written a poem in a long time. Right. Drip, ripple. Drip, drip. Ripple, ripple. Impact.
That's great.
Thank you. It's really tiny. But it felt so wildly insightful.
Thank you.
Said it's small.
All right. Shall we dive into our meditation? All right. So, let's dive into our meditation. Imagine there's a big, beautiful lake. And if you're okay with diving, you can see there's a big diving board that runs out into the lake. And you can run out. You can just dive in. And just watch those ripples splashing all the way across the lake. And if you're not into diving, maybe you can just gently walk out in. Or you can see there's a little boat you could hop in. And you can see as you walking or the boat's moving, you can just see those little ripples just rolling off the edge of the lake. And as you just feel yourself floating at peace in this lake, it's pretty nice to spend some time just in the cool relaxation. And then you notice one of the ripples from one of the other people in the lake just splashes up against you. And you can imagine the meditation intention behind that ripple. Maybe they were sending you some peace, or some smiles, or some awareness. And you can imagine this metaphor of the lake and the ripples, and the impact. Perhaps you could appreciate some of the things that somebody taught me, the impact it had on me, and maybe I've then shared it with you. And that ripple that's now become a part of you, that you'll also share it and help others. And that ripple of peace or awareness or wisdom rippling through space-time. And as you contemplate everything you say and every feeling you put out there and every way that you act and every interaction you have, you can just see the ripples that you're putting through every person around you. And as you look at all those people through society, through your friends groups, you just see all the ripples, all the different kind feelings, happy feelings, frustrations, upsets, wisdom, all the ripples that everybody is just passing through everybody else. And some of those moments just drip, just passes by. But some of those really impact each other. And so I invite you to step back into yourself, deepen your breath, and imagine the kinds of ripples, kinds of impacts, kinds of moments and feelings and words that you would like to share with the universe. With the people you care about. Drip, drip, ripple, ripple, drip, ripple, ripple, impact, drip, drip, ripple. How precious and important each moment of your awareness, to make each seed that you plant in others' gardens, give each chance of those seeds to be as beautiful as possible. Each ripple that you splash into the pond of other people's minds, give it the chance to that be the best possible impact. how precious and important for you to cultivate a powerful state of mind, a beautiful repertoire of feelings. And if everyone could just look at me for a moment, keep that meditative feeling. I want you to imagine that this is like a scale of all the possible emotions. And most people's emotions are here, from whatever you think of as the least enjoyable, least helpful emotions, through to what you think of as the okay emotions, to what you think of as the good emotions. Sometimes people have a little more extreme there or a little more extreme there. And so some people think of meditation as just being okay with all of them. Some people think of meditation as being aware, choosing where to put your attention, so you cultivate just more of these. You let go of those and you have more of this. But I'd like you to imagine, what if you truly chose each moment? You truly chose the most beautiful attitude or reaction to each feeling you could have. So your repertoire of reactions and emotions became this. Your worst possible reaction would be love and joy and compassion. And you opened up to more and more feelings of just elation and ecstasy and effortlessness and infinite love. And this became your set of emotions. So as we close our eyes and go back into each moment of the breath, feel the lightness. Feel the joy. Imagine if right now you shifted every part of your feelings, attitudes and perspectives. You choose. Now I'm there in that elation, that understanding, that bliss, that joy. Every feeling, every action, I'll choose it. Imagine how that would feel. Drip, drip, ripple, ripple. You are a wave of love and ease for everyone you care about. Drip, drip, ripple. How precious and how important. What a gift you can give to yourself right now as you step into that way of being. Perhaps you're feeling that in general, or perhaps you're also seeing different specific situations in your life and you're just enjoying the most blissful way of being that you can imagine in those different scenarios. sometimes to find that beautiful way of reacting, it might take a bit of meditation to imagine or set that intention. Hey, I could have an amazing reaction here. And just keep feeling more and more into that amazing reaction. Impact. Sometimes one meditation or even one thought can radically transform you, could shift how things are in yourself or in a relationship. Always be open to that possibility with each meditation, with each intentional thought. Keep that spectrum of emotions. Envisage yourself as that wise, peaceful, blissful you. So thank you everyone for being here. If you're there on the live stream, it's been a pleasure sharing with you. And I hope to see you again next week.